Hello everyone, welcome to our video on 100 interview questions on manual testing. In this video, we cover all the possible questions you can be asked by the interviewer. This list includes theoretical questions, practical questions as well as communication-related questions. This video is useful to anyone who wants to learn manual testing. This is like taking a full course. Once you watch this video, you will feel like an expert in the field. Question 1. Why did you want to become a manual tester? When you are asked this question, you need to give one or few of the following ideas. Well, I always had a thing for breaking things apart and finding out how they work. That's why I became interested in becoming a manual tester. I really enjoy the process of exploring different software applications and discovering bugs to make the user experience even better. What's even more exciting is that being a manual tester allows me to work collaboratively with other members of a team. It's a great feeling to be able to create high-quality products that meet the needs of users. Manual testing is also a great way to exercise my critical thinking and problem-solving skills, while also continuously learning and developing my testing expertise. Question 2. What is manual testing? While this question may be easier, it's important to give thorough answer. Manual testing is a software testing process in which test cases are executed manually without using any automated tool. In manual testing, all test cases are executed by the tester manually according to the end user's perspective. It ensures whether the application is working, as mentioned in the requirement document, or not. Question 3. Why is manual testing required? Manual testing is required to catch bugs and feature issues before a software application goes live. There are areas that can't be automated, such as reCAPTCHA. In such instances, we need manual testing. Moreover, automation testing mostly covers happy paths, where everything works as expected, but with manual testing, we can test for negative flows and much more complex end-to-end use cases. Additionally, manual testing provides human intuition and reasoning that is necessary to catch issues that automation testing might miss. Manual testing also allows for exploratory testing, which can uncover issues that were not previously thought of or planned for. Question 4. Can we automate everything? We can't. Automating everything won't work. You'll end up wasting time and money automating processes that are either not needed or that are better handled by humans. Question 5. When is manual testing better than automation testing? When you are asked this question, give as many of the following answers. When testing more complex scenarios. When testing negative scenarios. When testing fully end-to-end flows. When testing user experience related to a product. When it is required to conduct exploratory testing or random testing to capture bugs. To allows human observation, which may be useful to offer a user-friendly system. Question 6. What are the advantages of manual testing? You can mention many benefits, such as manual testing is a cheaper way of testing when compared to automated testing. With manual testing, we can easily test the product from the end user's point of view. GUI testing can be done more accurately with the help of manual testing, as visual accessibility and preferences are difficult to automate. Manual testing is easy to learn for new people who have just entered into testing. It is highly suitable for short-term projects when test scripts are not going to be repeated and reused thousands of times. Manual testing is best suited when the project is in the early stages of its development. Manual testing is highly reliable since automated tests can contain errors and missed bugs. Question 7. What are the entry criteria and exit criteria in manual testing? Entry criteria are the conditions that must be met before testing can begin. These may include the completion of development, the availability of test environments, and the availability of test data. Entry criteria also include the preparation of test plans, test cases, and test data. Exit criteria, on the other hand, are the conditions that must be met before testing can be concluded. These may include meeting all the functional and non-functional requirements, the absence of any critical defects, the completion of all test cases, and the satisfaction of the customer. Exit criteria also include the preparation of test reports and the sign-off of stakeholders. Question 8. What are the general steps of manual testing? Tell the following steps when you are asked this question. Analyze requirements from the software requirements specification document. Create a clear test plan. Write test cases that cover all the requirements defined in the document. Get test cases reviewed by the QA lead. Execute test cases and detect any bugs. Report bugs to the development team. Once the bugs are fixed, run the failed tests again to re-verify the fixes. Question 9. What is a test case, or test scenario in manual testing? Test case. A test case is a set of actions performed on a system to determine if it satisfies software requirements and functions correctly. Test case includes test steps, data, and expected results for testing. Test scenario. Test scenario includes an end-to-end functionality to be tested. Test scenarios are high-level actions. Question 10. What should be included in the test case? A complete test case includes all of the following things. You have to mention at least a few of them to make sure you have experience creating them properly. Test name, a title that describes the functionality or feature that the test is verifying. Test ID, typically a numeric or alphanumeric identifier that QA engineers and testers use to group test cases into test suites. Objective, also called a description, this important component describes what the test intends to verify in 1 to 2 sentences. References, links to user stories, design specifications, or requirements that the test is expected to verify. Prerequisites, any conditions that are necessary for the tester or QA engineer to perform the test. Test setup, this component identifies what the test case needs to run correctly, such as the app version, operation system, date and time requirements, and security specifications. Test steps, detailed descriptions of the sequential actions that must be taken to complete the test. Expected results, an outline of how the system should respond to each test step. Question 11. What is the importance of Test ID? The Test ID is a unique identifier assigned to each test case in manual testing. It serves as a reference for a particular test case and helps to map it to other related activities, such as automation testing, test management, and reporting. By assigning a unique test ID to a test case, it becomes easy to track the testing progress, identify the status of each test case, and report defects or issues. In addition, when documenting a test case in a test management tool or any other system, the test ID can help to ensure that each test case is accurately tracked, managed, and maintained. Question 12. What is the test plan in manual testing? Creating a test plan is an essential part of a manual tester's job. A test plan stores all possible testing activities to ensure a quality product. It gathers data from the product description, requirements, and use case documents. The test plan document includes testing objectives, test scope, testing the frame, environment, reason for testing, criteria for entrance and exit, deliverables, risk factors. Question 13. Create an example test plan for a real-world case. Let's take user registration of an e-commerce site. A test plan to test that feature should include the following things. Testing objectives, verify that the user registration feature meets the defined functional and non-functional requirements, including user account creation, login, and password management. Test scope. Test all aspects of the user registration feature, including the registration form, validation rules, confirmation email, password reset, and social media integration. Testing framework. Use a combination of manual testing techniques, such as functional testing, exploratory testing, and acceptance testing. Environment. Use a test environment that mimics the production environment, including the hardware, software, and tools required for testing. Reason for testing. Ensure that the user registration feature meets the defined quality standards, including user experience, security, and reliability, and is ready for launch. Criteria for entrance and exit. Testing can begin once the development phase is completed and the user registration feature is available in the test environment. Testing will end once all the defined test cases are executed and the user registration feature meets the defined quality standards. Deliverables. Test case documentation, test execution reports, defect reports, and a final test summary report. Risk factors. Possible risks include security vulnerabilities, user authentication failures, password breaches, and usability issues. Risks will be mitigated by conducting thorough testing, ensuring data security, and providing clear and concise user documentation. Question 14. What are test management tools and how are they important to manual testing? Test management tools are used to store information on how testing is to be done, plan testing activities, and report the status of quality assurance activities. A test management tool can reduce duplication of data which traditionally occurs when requirements, tests, or defects are managed. It ensures everyone, from business analysts to developers, testers, and QA managers, has one view of the progress being made. It's essential that you can audit test coverage, execution, and outcomes. Question 15. What is test reporting? A test report is an organized summary of testing objectives, activities, and results. It is created and used to help stakeholders such as product managers, analysts, testing teams, and developers understand product quality and decide whether a product, feature, or defect resolution is on track for release. Question 16. What is the life cycle of a bug? The life cycle of a bug refers to the different stages that a defect or issue goes through during the testing and bug reporting process. The life cycle typically consists of the following stages. New. The bug is newly discovered and reported by the tester. Assigned. The bug is assigned to a developer or development team for further investigation and resolution. Open. The developer is working on the bug and actively trying to fix it. Fixed. The bug has been fixed by the developer. Retest. The tester verifies that the bug has been fixed and retests the affected functionality. Verified. The tester has confirmed that the bug has been fixed and is no longer present in the system. Closed. The bug is marked as closed, and the testing team considers it resolved. Question 17. What are the different types of manual testing? Different types of manual testing are black box testing, white box testing, unit testing, system testing, integration testing, acceptance testing. Question 18. What is the difference between functional testing and non-functional testing? Functional testing focuses on verifying the functionality of the software application and ensuring that it meets the defined requirements. It involves testing the software application against various inputs and outputs to ensure that it performs as expected. Non-functional testing, on the other hand, focuses on verifying the non-functional aspects of the software application, such as performance, reliability, usability, and security. It involves testing the software application against various criteria that are not related to its functionality, but are essential for ensuring its quality and effectiveness. Question 19. What is the difference between static and dynamic testing? Static testing is a testing technique that involves reviewing and analyzing the software application's code, design, and documentation to identify defects and issues. It is performed without actually executing the software application and includes techniques such as code reviews, walkthroughs, and inspections. Dynamic testing, on the other hand, is a testing technique that involves executing the software application and verifying its behavior against various inputs and outputs. It is performed after the software application is developed and includes techniques such as functional testing, regression testing, and performance testing. Question 20. What is the difference between black box testing and white box testing? Black box testing is a testing technique that focuses on verifying the functionality of the software application without any knowledge of the internal workings of the software. It involves testing the software application against various inputs and outputs and is based solely on the software's functional requirements. White box testing, on the other hand, is a testing technique that involves testing the software application's internal workings, such as its code, architecture, and design. It requires knowledge of the software's internal structure and is used to ensure that the software is properly designed and implemented. Question 21. What type of issue is considered a blocker? In software testing, a blocker issue is a critical defect or bug that prevents the software application from functioning properly. A blocker issue can cause the software application to crash, malfunction, or behave in unexpected ways, and can severely impact the overall quality and effectiveness of the software. Blocker issues are the most severe type of issue and must be fixed immediately before the software application can be released. Question 22. Explain the difference between alpha testing and beta testing. Alpha testing is a type of testing that is performed by the software development team, usually in-house, before the software is released to the general public. It is typically performed in a controlled environment and involves testing the software application against a wide range of inputs and outputs. The main objective of alpha testing is to identify and fix defects or bugs before the software is released to the public. Beta testing, on the other hand, is a type of testing that is performed by real users in a real-world environment. It is performed after alpha testing and is used to identify any remaining defects or bugs that were not identified during alpha testing. The main objective of beta testing is to evaluate the software application's performance, usability, and functionality in a real-world scenario. Question 23. What are the important things you need to include when reporting an issue? Steps to reproduce. Issue type bug or improvement. Actual behavior. Expected behavior. Environmental details issue was observed. Visual proof, screenshots, videos, text, of bug. Any logs or backend errors. Severity/priority. Bug ID. Question 24. What's the difference between verification and validation? Verification is a testing process that focuses on ensuring that the software application meets its specified requirements and design. It involves checking whether the software application has been built according to its design specifications and requirements. Validation, on the other hand, is a testing process that focuses on ensuring that the software application meets the needs of its users and customers. It involves checking whether the software application meets the user's needs and requirements and whether it can perform its intended functions. Question 25. Have you heard about L1 and L2 issues? What is the difference between them? When the interviewer asks this, say yes. Then explain the difference. L1 issues are typically simple and straightforward issues that can be resolved quickly and easily. They are usually identified and fixed by the same person or team that discovered the issue and do not require much investigation or analysis. L2 issues, on the other hand, are more complex and require more investigation and analysis to identify and fix. They are usually escalated to a higher level of support or development team for resolution and may require more time and resources to fix. Question 26. What's a testbed? Testbed is the test execution environment configured for testing. Testbed consists of specific hardware, software, operating system, network configuration, the product under test, other system software, and application software. Question 27. What is smoke testing? Smoke testing is a software testing process that determines whether the deployed software build is stable or not. Smoke testing is a confirmation for the QA team to proceed with further software testing. It consists of a minimal set of tests run on each build to test software functionalities. Smoke testing is also known as build verification testing or confidence testing. It is a mini and rapid regression test of major functionality. It is a simple test that shows the product is ready for testing. Question 28. What is regression testing and what is the expectation of conducting regression testing? Regression testing is defined as a type of software testing to confirm that a recent program or code change has not adversely affected existing features. Regression testing is nothing but a full or partial selection of already executed test cases that are re-executed to ensure existing functionalities work fine. The expectation of conducting regression testing is to ensure that new code changes do not have side effects on the existing functionalities. It ensures that the old code still works once the latest code changes are done. Question 29. At what stage do you conduct smoke testing over regression testing? Smoke testing is executed at the initial stage of SDLC, to check the core functionalities of an application. Whereas sanity and regression testing is done at the final stage of SDLC, to check the main functionalities of an application. Question 30. What is the difference between sanity testing and smoke testing? Smoke testing has a goal to verify stability, whereas sanity testing has a goal to verify rationality. Smoke testing is done by both developers and testers, whereas sanity testing is done by testers. Smoke testing verifies the critical functionalities of the system, whereas sanity testing verifies the new functionality like bug fixes. Smoke testing is a subset of acceptance testing, whereas sanity testing is a subset of regression testing. Smoke testing is documented or scripted, whereas sanity testing isn't. Smoke testing verifies the entire system from end to end, whereas sanity testing verifies only a particular component. Question 31. What is user experience testing? Do you think user experience testing is important, then why? Yes, user experience (UX) testing is a crucial part of software development that helps to ensure that products or services are user-friendly and provide a good experience. During a UX test, a representative group of users is asked to complete specific tasks. This allows designers and researchers to assess how easy it is for users to complete these tasks and to understand what they like and don't like about the product or service. UX testing is important because it helps software developers to identify any issues that might affect the user experience and to fix them quickly. His can save time, money, and prevent any potential damage to the brand's reputation. In addition, UX testing helps to gain a better understanding of users, their behaviors, and expectations. This information can be used to identify areas for improvement and opportunities for innovation. Question 32. What are the things you consider when testing for user experience? When you are asked this question, you need to give answers like: learn if participants are able to complete specified tasks successfully. Identify how long it takes to complete specified tasks. Find out how satisfied participants are with your website or other product. Identify changes required to improve user performance and satisfaction. And analyze the performance to see if it meets your usability objectives. Question 33. What are the 4 levels of testing? Unit testing, integration testing, system testing, acceptance testing. Question 34. What is cross-browser testing and why is it important? Cross-browser testing is a process that ensures your website can be accessed through different browsers, devices, and assistive technologies. Each browser reads website code differently, so it's important to test your website on various browsers to ensure it looks and behaves as intended. Since different browsers render HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in unique ways, it's not enough to just debug your website's source code. Cross-browser testing helps identify any browser-specific compatibility errors so you can quickly fix them. By testing your website on different browsers, you can ensure that you're not alienating a significant part of your target audience. It helps to make sure that your website works properly for everyone, regardless of the browser or operating system they are using. Question 35. What is Jira and how did you use it in your testing? Jira software is part of a family of products designed to help teams of all types manage work. Originally, Jira was designed as a bug and issue tracker. But today, Jira has evolved into a powerful work management tool for all kinds of use cases, from requirements and test case management to agile software development. Then tell your exact experience using Jira. For example, Jira is used by QA teams to create Jira issues, customized screens, fields, and workflows to manage manual and automated tests. Question 36. What is the difference between error versus failure? An error is a mistake made in the code due to which compilation or execution fails. Failure is the accumulation of several defects that ultimately lead to software failure and results in the loss of information in critical modules, thereby making the system unresponsive. Question 37. When should manual testing end? Manual testing should end when the desired and sufficient coverage of the requirements and functionalities under test is achieved, and all identified defects are corrected and closed. While deadlines and budgets are important considerations, they should not be the only factors that determine when to end manual testing. If testing is cut short before achieving sufficient coverage or before all identified defects are resolved, it can lead to a subpar user experience and potential business losses. Question 38. How can you identify a bug in the early stage? You can give one or few of the following answers. Conduct unit testing. This testing method allows developers to test individual pieces of code to identify potential bugs or issues before they become more significant. Use static code analysis. Utilize tools like SonarQube or CodeClimate to analyze code and identify issues early on in the development process. Perform integration testing. Integration testing can help identify bugs in the interaction between different components of the software. Conduct exploratory testing. This testing method involves using the software as a user would to identify potential bugs or issues that automated testing may not have caught. Question 39. What are the testing environments that you can use in the industry? There are several testing environments that are commonly used in the industry, including development environment. This is where developers build and test new features or functionality. Integration environment. This is where all components of the software are integrated and tested together to ensure that they work properly. Staging environment. This is a copy of the production environment used for testing changes before they are released to production. Production environment. This is the live environment where the software is actually used by end users. Testing environment. This is where testers can perform their testing activities, such as functional testing, regression testing, and performance testing. User acceptance testing, UAT, environment. This is where end users can test the software to ensure that it meets their needs and requirements. Disaster recovery environment. This is a backup environment used in case the production environment goes down due to a disaster. Question 40. What is CI/CD? C/CD stands for Continuous Integration and Continuous Delivery/Deployment. It is a set of practices and tools that enable developers to quickly and reliably build, test, and deploy software changes to production. Continuous integration is the practice of frequently merging code changes from multiple developers into a shared repository, followed by an automated build and test process. This helps identify and resolve integration issues early on in the development process. Continuous delivery, CD, is the practice of automating the deployment process so that new changes can be easily and quickly released to production. This includes automated testing, release management, and deployment to production. Continuous deployment, CD, is an extension of continuous delivery that automatically deploys changes to production as soon as they pass automated tests. Question 41. As a manual tester, how did you use CI/CD technologies? You can give an answer like, while I have not used CI/CD technologies directly, I understand the importance of automation and continuous delivery in software development. As a manual tester, I have collaborated with developers to identify and document test cases and scenarios that can be automated to ensure that the application is thoroughly tested. I have also worked with the development team to review the automated test results, identify failures, and fix any issues. Additionally, I have provided feedback on the usability and user experience of the application, which can be incorporated into the design and development process. Overall, even though I have not directly used CI/CD technologies, I understand their significance and how they can improve the quality and success of software development projects. Please customize th answer according to your experience. Question 42. What tools can you use to conduct performance testing? If asked a question like this, provide a suitable answer based on your experience. As a manual tester, I have experience using a range of performance testing tools to ensure the quality and reliability of applications. Some of the tools I have used for performance testing include Apache JMeter, LoadRunner, Gatling, and Blaze Meter. These tools help simulate the expected user load and measure the application's response time, throughput, and resource utilization under various load conditions. By using these tools, I can identify performance bottlenecks, analyze the root cause of the issue, and recommend the necessary optimizations to enhance the application's performance. Question 43. What are the challenges you faced when doing performance testing? As a manual tester conducting performance testing, some common challenges include identifying the right test environment, simulating realistic user behavior, dealing with technical issues such as network latency, and analyzing and interpreting performance data. Additionally, managing and analyzing large volumes of data can be a challenge. Effective communication with the development team and stakeholders is key to resolving these challenges. Question 44. Difference between positive testing and negative testing? Positive testing is a type of testing where the application is tested with valid and expected inputs, and the expected output is compared with the actual output. This is done to ensure that the system is working as expected under normal conditions. Negative testing, on the other hand, is a type of testing where the application is tested with invalid and unexpected inputs, and the behavior of the application is observed. The aim is to identify unexpected behavior and errors in the system under abnormal conditions. Question 45. What is test closure? Test closure is the final stage of the software testing lifecycle, where the testing team formally concludes the testing activities. This stage involves various activities such as summarizing the testing results, evaluating the effectiveness of the testing process, and preparing reports to be shared with the stakeholders. During the test closure stage, the testing team reviews the test plan and test cases to ensure that all the requirements have been met and that all the identified defects have been resolved. They also analyze the test data to identify any trends, patterns, or anomalies that could impact the performance or quality of the software. Once the testing team has completed their analysis and verification, they create a test closure report that summarizes the testing activities, results, and findings. This report is then shared with the relevant stakeholders, including the development team, project managers, and clients. The report serves as a record of the testing activities and provides valuable insights for future software development and testing projects. Question 46. What is the pesticide paradox? How to overcome it? The pesticide paradox is a phenomenon in software testing where the repetition of the same test cases over time results in diminishing returns. This means that, over time, the same set of tests will identify fewer and fewer defects, making it easier for new defects to slip through the cracks. This is because the software system and the testing methods become immune to the tests over time. To overcome the pesticide paradox, the testing team should continuously update and improve their testing approach by introducing new test cases and strategies. It's important to review the existing test cases regularly to identify any that have become redundant or ineffective, and replace them with new ones. Additionally, it's important to explore different testing techniques such as exploratory testing and risk-based testing, which can help identify new and different types of defects. Question 47. What do you mean by defect triage? Defect triage is a process that is followed by the software testing team to prioritize and assign the severity and priority of the defects identified during the testing process. It involves evaluating the defects and determining their impact on the software system, and then assigning them to the relevant development team members for resolution. The process of defect triage typically involves a team of stakeholders, including developers, testers, project managers, and business analysts. During the triage process, the team reviews the defects, analyzes their impact on the system, and assigns them to the appropriate team members for resolution. The defects are prioritized based on factors such as their severity, impact on the system, and business value. Question 48. What is integration testing? Integration testing is a type of software testing that is performed to verify that the individual components or modules of a software system function correctly when integrated together. The purpose of integration testing is to detect any defects or issues that may arise when the components are combined and to ensure that they work seamlessly together as a whole system. Question 49. What are the different types of integration testing? There are several types of integration testing. Those are: Big Bang integration testing. In this approach, all the components of the software system are integrated and tested together in a single step. Top-down integration testing. This approach involves testing the top-level modules of the system first and then gradually adding lower-level modules to the testing process. Bottom-up integration testing. This approach involves testing the lower-level modules of the system first and then gradually adding higher-level modules to the testing process. Incremental integration testing. In this approach, the system is built and tested in small increments, with new components being added and tested one at a time. Sandwich integration testing. This approach is a combination of top-down and bottom-up integration testing, where the intermediate levels of the system are tested first and then the higher and lower levels are added and tested. Hybrid integration testing. This approach involves a combination of two or more integration testing approaches. Question 50. What is a stub? In software testing, a stub is a small piece of code or software that mimics the behavior of a larger component or module in the system. It is used to test the functionality of a component or module that depends on the behavior of another component or module that is not yet available for testing. Question 51. What tools can you use for API testing? Some of the commonly used tools for API testing are Postman, SoapUI, JMeter, Rest Assured, Karate, Swagger, Assertable, Apigee, and Load Runner. Question 52. How do you conduct API testing? Suppose you are using Postman. Then the process will be: create a new request by selecting the method type, get, post, put, delete, etc., and entering the URL of the API you want to test. Add any necessary request headers, parameters, and body if applicable. Click on the Send button to execute the API request and view the response. Validate the response and status code to ensure that the API is working as expected. Create test cases using Postman's test runner to perform automated tests on the API. Use Postman's collection runner to run multiple requests in a sequence, and then analyze the results using Postman's reports. Question 53. What is a cause-effect graph? A cause-effect graph is a graphical representation of the relationship between the input and output of a system. It is also known as an Ishikawa diagram or a fishbone diagram. The cause-effect graph helps to identify the root cause of a problem by breaking it down into smaller, more manageable parts. It is commonly used in software testing to identify the test cases that need to be written to cover all possible combinations of inputs and outputs. Question 54. Explain equivalence class partitioning. Equivalence class partitioning is a black box testing technique that helps to divide the input values into a set of groups or classes, called equivalence classes, to create test cases. This technique is useful in reducing the number of test cases required to test all possible combinations of input values. In this technique, the input values are divided into different categories or classes that are expected to behave in the same way when tested. The idea is to choose a representative input value from each equivalence class and test it. For example, if a system requires a user to enter a number between 1 and 100, the inputs can be divided into 3 classes: less than 1, between 1 and 100, and greater than 100. Test cases can then be designed to test one value from each of these classes, such as -1, 50, and 101. Question 55. What is boundary value analysis? Boundary value analysis is a software testing technique that is used to identify errors or defects that occur at the boundaries of input ranges in a given system. The technique involves testing values that are at the edge of the input domain, or that are just above or below the boundary, to ensure that the system handles such values correctly. For example, if a system requires input of a value between 1 and 100, the boundary value analysis technique would test the values 0, 1, 2, 99, 100, and 101 to ensure that the system handles these values correctly. Question 56. What is a traceability matrix? A traceability matrix is a document that links product requirements to test cases, indicating the coverage of requirements through the testing process. It is a tool that helps ensure complete test coverage and provides traceability from requirements to test cases, and from test cases to test results. The matrix is often used to ensure that all requirements are tested and that there are no gaps in testing. The matrix can also be used to identify test cases that are no longer required due to changes in the requirements. Question 57. During what phase do we create a traceability matrix? Requirement analysis phase. It is the first phase of SDLC and it starts as soon as the SRS is shared with the testing team. In this phase, we analyze the functional or non-functional requirements of the application under test. Question 58. What is the difference between load testing and stress testing? Load testing is the process of testing a system or application by simulating a high volume of users or transactions to measure its ability to handle the expected load. The goal of load testing is to identify performance bottlenecks, such as slow response times, timeouts, and server crashes, under high load conditions. Stress testing, on the other hand, is the process of testing a system or application under extreme conditions beyond its normal operational capacity to identify its breaking point. The goal of stress testing is to determine the system's stability, reliability, and recoverability under heavy stress conditions, such as high traffic or resource usage. Question 59. What are BDD and TDD? BDD stands for Behavior-Driven Development, which is an agile software development methodology that encourages collaboration between stakeholders to define and prioritize requirements in terms of behavior. TDD stands for Test-Driven Development, which is a software development methodology that emphasizes writing automated tests before writing the actual code. It involves writing a failing test case that describes a small piece of functionality, then writing the minimum amount of code necessary to make the test pass, and then refactoring the code to improve its quality. Question 60. What is agile testing and why is it important? Agile testing is a software testing practice that follows the principles of agile software development methodology. In agile testing, testing is integrated with the development process and done throughout the entire software development life cycle. Agile testing helps in identifying defects early in the development process, which reduces the cost of fixing them. It emphasizes the importance of continuous testing and feedback, enabling teams to iterate and improve the software continuously. Question 61. What do you know about data flow testing? Data flow testing focuses on the flow of data within the application or system being tested. The main goal of data flow testing is to identify potential defects and errors that can occur due to problems with the data flow. Data flow testing is particularly important in applications where data input, processing, and output are critical, such as financial systems or healthcare applications. Question 62. What is the purpose of end-to-end testing? The purpose of end-to-end testing is to verify the entire system, from start to finish, and ensure that all components work together as expected. It helps to validate the system's functionality, reliability, and performance, and detect any defects or issues that may arise during the flow of data across multiple systems. Overall, the main purpose of end-to-end testing is to provide confidence in the system's ability to meet its intended purpose and deliver value to its users. Question 63. How do you test a product if the requirements are yet to be frozen? Testing a product before the requirements are frozen can be challenging, as the requirements may change during the development process. In such a situation, exploratory testing can be used to find defects and verify the functionality of the product. Additionally, the testing team can also provide feedback and suggestions during the development process to ensure that the final product meets the requirements of the stakeholders. Question 64. How will you overcome the challenges faced due to the unavailability of proper documentation for testing? One approach to overcome the challenge of unavailability of proper documentation is to engage in exploratory testing. Exploratory testing is a type of testing that emphasizes learning, discovery, and investigation. Testers can explore the application under test without being limited by preconceived notions or scripted test cases. Testers can use their experience and expertise to uncover potential issues, risks, and defects, and report them to the development team. This approach can help to ensure that the application meets the desired quality standards, even in the absence of proper documentation. Question 65. How do severity and priority relate to each other? Severity refers to the impact or seriousness of the bug on the system, application, or user. It indicates the degree of negative impact that a bug can cause. For example, a bug that results in a system crash or data loss is considered severe. Priority, on the other hand, refers to the urgency or importance of fixing the bug. It indicates how quickly the bug needs to be fixed. For example, a bug that affects a core functionality of the system or application will have a higher priority than a bug that affects a minor functionality. The relationship between severity and priority is that severity can influence priority. A severe bug will generally have a higher priority because it has a significant impact on the system, application, or user. Question 66. List the different types of severity. Here are the commonly used severity types in software testing. Critical. The defect that causes system failure or causes data corruption, and the application cannot proceed further. High. The defect that causes major functionality loss or a significant impact on system performance. Medium. The defect that causes minor functionality loss or has a moderate impact on system performance. Low. The defect that causes cosmetic issues, and it does not affect the functionality of the system. Trivial. The defect that has very little impact on the system and can be ignored. Question 67. What is the difference between performance testing and monkey testing, chaos testing? Monkey testing, also known as chaos testing, is a type of testing where random input is given to the application to check the behavior of the system. Monkey testing aims to identify the system's stability and resilience by testing it under unexpected and unpredictable conditions. The key difference between performance testing and monkey testing is their focus. Performance testing is focused on identifying the performance issues and bottlenecks, while monkey testing is focused on identifying the system's stability and resilience under unpredictable conditions. Performance testing is conducted under controlled and specific conditions, while monkey testing is conducted under unpredictable and random conditions. Question 68. What is exploratory testing? Exploratory testing is a type of software testing approach that is not scripted and is performed without any predefined test cases or plans. In this approach, testers explore the application or software under test and document any issues, defects, or bugs that they encounter during the testing process. Exploratory testing is an iterative approach that allows testers to learn about the application or system as they test it. It is typically performed by experienced testers who can use their intuition and creativity to find defects and issues that may not be easily identified using scripted testing approaches. Question 69. What is meant by latent defect? A latent defect, also known as a hidden defect or dormant defect, is a software defect that is present in the code but does not manifest itself immediately. These defects may remain hidden until a specific set of circumstances or a particular condition triggers them. They can be difficult to identify and may cause problems at a later stage in the software development life cycle. Question 70. What is the benefit of test independence? Test independence is the concept of having a testing process that is separate and isolated from the development process. The benefit of test independence is that it helps to uncover defects and issues that may have been overlooked during the development process. This is because independent testers bring a fresh perspective and are able to identify problems that developers may have missed due to their familiarity with the code. Test independence also helps to increase the credibility of the testing process and the reliability of the testing results. Question 71. How would you test the login feature of a web application? This is a question to test your practical experience. If the interviewer asks you this question, you can tell the following steps. Verify the login page. I would ensure that the login page is displayed properly and all the required fields, such as username and password, are present and working correctly. Verify login functionality. I would verify that a user can successfully log in using valid credentials and that an appropriate error message is displayed when invalid credentials are entered. Verify session management. I would ensure that the session is properly managed after a user logs in, such as verifying that the user is redirected to the appropriate page and that the session is maintained throughout the user's session. Verify security. I would verify that the login feature has appropriate security measures in place, such as CAPTCHA or two-factor authentication, to prevent unauthorized access. Verify error handling. I would test for error handling scenarios, such as what happens when the user enters incorrect login credentials repeatedly, to ensure that appropriate error messages are displayed and the system does not become unresponsive. Verify logout functionality. I would verify that the user can successfully log out of the system and that the session is terminated properly. Question 72. What is endurance testing? Endurance testing is a type of performance testing that checks the system's ability to withstand a prolonged workload. The goal of endurance testing is to verify that the system can continue to function properly under sustained usage, without any degradation in performance or stability. The test is usually carried out over an extended period of time, often several hours or even days, during which the system is subjected to a simulated workload that is at or above the expected real-world usage. Question 73. What is spike testing? Spike testing is a type of performance testing where a sudden and large increase in user traffic or system load is simulated to test the performance of the system under stress. This sudden increase in traffic or load is referred to as a spike. The goal of spike testing is to measure how well the system can handle sudden and unexpected surges in usage. Question 74. What is scalability testing? Scalability testing evaluates a system's ability to handle increasing amounts of workload, data or users while maintaining its performance. The main objective of scalability testing is to determine whether the system can handle anticipated future growth and ensure that it can handle increased loads without performance degradation or failure. Question 75. What should we check for in scalability testing? In scalability testing, the following aspects should be checked. Response time. The response time of the application should be monitored during normal and peak loads to check if it remains stable or degrades significantly. Resource usage. The amount of resources used by the system, such as CPU, memory, disk space, and network bandwidth, should be monitored to identify any bottlenecks or limitations. Load balancing. The load balancing mechanisms should be tested to ensure that they distribute the load evenly among the servers and that no server is overloaded. Database scalability. The ability of the database to handle increased loads should be tested, including the ability to handle larger data volumes and more concurrent connections. Network scalability. The ability of the network to handle increased traffic should be tested, including the ability to handle more concurrent users and larger data transfers. Failover and recovery. The system's ability to recover from failures and to handle failover situations should be tested to ensure that the system can continue to function even in the event of a failure. Question 76. What is the difference between staging and production environment? The staging environment is a pre-production environment that is used for testing changes to a software system before they are pushed to the production environment. This is done to ensure that any changes made to the system work as expected and do not cause any issues in the production environment, which is the live environment used by end users. Question 77. What is compatibility testing? Compatibility testing is a type of testing that verifies whether a software application or product can function correctly in different environments, systems, configurations, and setups. It aims to ensure that the software is compatible with various hardware, software, network, and database configurations and that it can operate as expected in all of them. Question 78. Do you think a test case review is important? Why? Yes. I think a test case review is important because it helps to ensure the quality of the test cases and the testing process overall. Test case review involves having other members of the team, such as developers, business analysts, or other testers, review the test cases to identify any potential issues or areas for improvement. Question 79. What is ad hoc testing? Ad hoc testing is carried out without a specific test plan or test script. It is typically done to explore the system, uncover defects, and gain a better understanding of the system's behavior. Ad hoc testing is generally performed by experienced testers who use their knowledge, intuition, and creativity to find defects that might not be identified through other types of testing. Question 80. What is a test strategy document? A test strategy document is a high-level document that outlines the approach, goals, and methods for software testing. It provides a roadmap for testing the software and describes the testing activities that will be performed during the project. The document typically includes details on the test environment, testing tools and techniques to be used, the testing schedule, and the roles and responsibilities of the testing team. Question 81. What tools can you use to report a bug? There are several tools that can be used to report a bug, including bug tracking software such as Jira, Bugzilla, or Mantis, collaboration tools like Trello or Asana, communication tools like Slack or Microsoft Teams, email or shared documents like Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, screen capture tools like Snagit or Lightshot to provide visual evidence of the bug. Question 82. What is a user story? A user story is a high-level description of a requirement that represents a user's or a customer's need. It is written from the perspective of an end user and defines the user's goal or objective, the features they need to achieve that objective, and the benefits they will gain from the feature. User stories are commonly used in agile methodologies to define and prioritize requirements in a project, and they help keep the focus on delivering value to the end users. Question 83. How do you create a user story for the login screen? To create a user story for the login screen, we should follow the standard user story format, which consists of three main elements: the user, the action, and the benefit. For example, a user story for the login screen could be: as a registered user, I want to be able to log in with my email and password, so that I can access my account and view my personalized content. This user story clearly identifies the user as a registered user, the action as being able to log in with their email and password, and the benefit as being able to access their account and view their personalized content. When creating a user story, it's important to keep in mind the specific needs and goals of the user, and to phrase the story in a way that clearly communicates those needs and goals. The user story should also be specific, measurable, and achievable, and should be written in a way that is easy for the development team to understand and implement. Question 84. What is UAT? UAT stands for User Acceptance Testing. It is a testing phase where the intended users or clients of a software application are given the opportunity to test the software in a real-world scenario to ensure that it meets their requirements and specifications. UAT is typically the last phase of testing before a software product is released to the market. Question 85. What is early testing? Early testing is performed early in the software development life cycle. This means that testing is conducted at the initial stages of development, as soon as a code is available. The objective of early testing is to identify and fix defects as early as possible in the software development process. Question 86. What are the two parameters which can be useful to know the quality of test execution? The two parameters that can be useful to know the quality of test execution are test coverage and defect density. Test coverage refers to the extent to which a test suite covers the requirements and functionalities under test. The higher the test coverage, the better the quality of test execution. Defect density, on the other hand, is the number of defects found per unit of code or per test case. The lower the defect density, the better the quality of test execution. Question 87. Explain what test deliverables is. Test deliverables refer to the documents and work products that are created during the software testing process and handed over to stakeholders as evidence of the testing performed. These deliverables ensure that the testing process is properly documented and the testing activities are traceable. Some common test deliverables include test plans, test cases, test scripts, test data, test logs, test summary reports, defect reports, and traceability matrices. These documents help stakeholders understand the testing process, track the progress of testing, and assess the quality of the software being tested. Question 88. How will you conduct risk analysis? To conduct risk analysis, a manual tester needs to identify potential risks or issues that may arise during the testing process. They can then evaluate the likelihood of each risk and its potential impact on the testing process and the product. Once the risks are identified, the tester can create a risk management plan to mitigate or avoid these risks. Question 89. What is a test harness? A test harness is a tool or framework used for automating testing, including the setup and execution of test cases and the reporting of test results. Question 90. What is a test log and how do you maintain one? A test log is a record of all tests executed during testing, including the date and time of the test case or scenario, the tester who executed the test, and the test results. Test logs should be maintained throughout the testing process and should be regularly reviewed and updated. Question 91. What is a test coverage matrix and why is it important? A test coverage matrix is a document that tracks the extent to which the software application has been tested, including the number of test cases executed and the areas of the application that have been covered. It is important to have a test coverage matrix to ensure that testing is comprehensive and to identify any gaps in testing. Question 92. What is cross-browser testing and how do you conduct it? Cross-browser testing is a type of testing that evaluates the compatibility of the software application with different web browsers. It can be conducted by testing the software application on different browsers and platforms, and identifying any compatibility issues or discrepancies. Question 93. What is accessibility testing and how do you conduct it? Accessibility testing is a type of testing that evaluates the accessibility of the software application for users with disabilities. It can be conducted by testing the software application with assistive technologies, such as screen readers, and verifying that all functionality is accessible. Question 94. What is a test data setup and how do you do it? Test data setup is the process of preparing the test data that will be used for testing the software application. It can involve creating new data, modifying existing data, or importing data from external sources. Test data setup should ensure that the test data accurately reflects real-world scenarios and provides comprehensive coverage of the software application. Question 95. What is a test schedule and how do you create one? A test schedule is a detailed document that outlines the timeline and resources required for testing the software application. It should include specific dates for executing test cases and scenarios, as well as deadlines for resolving any defects or issues identified during testing. Question 96. How would you test the checkout process of an e-commerce site? To test the checkout process of an e-commerce site, we would create test cases to ensure that all steps in the checkout process are working correctly. This includes testing the ability to add items to the cart, to enter shipping and billing information, and to complete the purchase process. We would also test for any error messages or issues that may occur during the checkout process. Question 97. How would you test the search functionality of an e-commerce site? To test the search functionality of an e-commerce site, we would create test cases to ensure that the search results are accurate and relevant to the search query. We would also test for any filters or sorting options that may be available, and ensure that the search results are consistent across different devices and browsers. Question 98. What steps do you take to ensure that issues reported to developers are clear and actionable? When you are asked a question like this, give an answer like, to ensure that issues reported to developers are clear and actionable, I first reproduce the issue to understand the steps required to trigger it. Then, I document the issue clearly and provide screenshots or videos if necessary. I also provided a detailed description of the expected behavior and the actual behavior observed. Question 99. How do you communicate issues to developers in a way that is respectful and collaborative? When you are asked a question like this, give an answer like, I communicate issues to developers in a clear and concise manner, using language that is professional and respectful. I also ensure that I provide enough detail to help the developers reproduce the issue and understand its impact on end users. I approach the conversation with an open mind and collaborate with developers to find the best solution. Question 100. How do you verify that issues reported to developers have been properly resolved and tested? When you are asked a question like this, give an answer like, I verify that issues reported to developers have been properly resolved and tested by retesting the issue and ensuring that the expected behavior has been restored. I also review the developer's code changes to ensure that they address the root cause of the issue and do not introduce any new issues. I hope you enjoyed this video and learn a lot from this. If you think this video is helpful, please like it and subscribe to our channel.